Well, I watched the game up in Sydney last night. We worked on Triple and didn't. I thought Sydney were in control all the way. They wasted the ball in the first quarter. As we have a look at the scores, they led from go to woe. They should have been 4 or 5 goals up at quarter time. I know what you're saying. That kept Freo in the game.
The third quarter, Freo dominated that third quarter, but then late in the third quarter, Sydney able to kick a couple of goals to actually outscore them in that quarter.
Yeah, I think every time Freo got close, Sydney had the ability to find something, just to lift a notch and open up a bit of a break. And in the end, it was 35 points, pretty comfortable. The Stars came to the fore. Look at the Swans goal kickers. Hall with 6. O'Keefe and O'Loughlin both fantastic with 4 goals apiece. Matty Pavlich, a lone hand up forward for the Dockers. He kicked 4, and their evergreen skipper, he just keeps trying. Doesn't know how to play a bad game, Billy. He kicked 3. But it was a great night for the Sydney Swans. They showed glimmers, the Doggers, but not enough players found the form of last week, Duck. Too many of them. Right. I think overall just lacking a bit of experience. Yeah, I agree. Look, I think you summed it up. When the Swans did look as if they could have got overrun by Fremantle, it was Hall, O'Loughlin, O'Keefe, the key forwards, and really for Fremantle it was only Pavlich. I know Bell chimed in with 3, and Cook kicked a couple, but Pavlich was the lone hand up forward. They needed to have someone else to kick goals. Jeff Farmer disappointing, so they just didn't have enough firepower. And we saw Ryan O'Keefe there just finishing one off. Looking forward to chatting to him a little bit later on. If you look at the headlines over in the West, Freo given the heave-ho by the Swans. Look, it's been a great year for them, but unfortunately they fell at the second last hurdle. Oh, look, it was a great year by Freo, and I think that a lot of people will stand up and take notice. They'll get a lot of confidence from that. Their goal was to win one final. They've taken on one of the very best teams, last year's premiers. I thought it was a very good effort. Rubbing a bit of salt into the wounds, not only did they lose the preliminary final, they suffered a couple of injuries, and Matthew Carr, probably the worst of these, a problem with the left knee. And when you have a look at the other angle, just have a look at how that left knee goes in. I think he clashed with the leg of Ryan O'Keefe, who's built like a brick proverbial, and he didn't come back on. Unfortunately, Matthew Carr was early on given the assignment of looking after Adam Good.
Thanks, Wayne. Well, I'm here at Coogee Beach, where the Swans have just had their recovery following last night's 35-point win over the Fremantle Dockers at Telstra Stadium. The Swans' back-to-back premiership dream is still alive. They'll face the winner of the Adelaide West Coast clash in next weekend's grand final. Barry Hall was the match winner. He booted 6 goals. The Swans' inaccuracy early in the match has concerned coach Paul Roos.
Probably the most frustrated time as a coach is when you know you're playing well and you're missing goals and a few silly turnovers, come in at half time and you've let them stay in the game. That can be very, very frustrating because good sides always come at you and you've got to take your chances generally when they present themselves. So, yeah, look, there was a little bit of concern. But, we were always managed to keep sort of 14 to 20 points up, and when they kicked one, we were able to kick another one. And the 2 late ones in the third quarter were pretty important. I think Leo's effort was terrific. Louis, we picked to play on him. And I think Leo going to him and really, making it a lot harder for Matthew after half-time was significant as well. So I think, I guess that's why they're, your 2 All-Australian defenders, Leo Barry, and in hindsight we probably should have started with Leo on Pavlich rather than Louis. Louis still making his way in the game, but Pavlich is a star player. So I think Leo Barry and Craig Bolton together, was a terrific effort from both those guys. We got the experience of the grand final. You played really well tonight, so we probably are better placed. I think. Doesn't mean we've got more chance to win next week, but I think we are better placed, if that makes sense, because we're going to come up against a team that's either played in it as well last year in West Coast or won back-to-back in, I think, 97, 98. So we're better placed as a team, but I think the opposition will be. Getting very used to that song. Let's have a listen to what Paul Roos had to say after the great win last night. Look, it's good to get through. It's hard not to think about playing in the grand final when you get to a prelim. But, look, it's great effort from the guys to back up after last year.
What about handling the different expectations? Last year was really the Cinderella side. No one expected you to win. With this year, you're going to go in pretty much equal favourites with earlier play. Yeah, I don't think favouritism and all that worries coaches. It's probably more for people to bet on footy that whether they win their money or lose their money. So I don't think I'll be betting on the game next week. So I don't think that matters really. The stake, everyone talks about
maybe Freo tonight had nothing to lose, but they had as much to lose as what we did. We're both playing for a grand final. It's the same next week. The loser, will be bitterly disappointed, and the winner will be obviously very, very excited. So I don't think it matters whether you're going as underdog or whether you're going as favourite or equal. I don't think we're going to go in as favourite, but if we go in as a roundabout, then I don't think it makes much difference, really.
What about the experience you go in handling, the distractions, the week, all that sort of stuff?
Well, I think both sides that we're playing. I mean, West Coast were in it last year, so they understand the parade and all the things that go around grand final week. And Adelaide have got enough players, I think, from their 97, 98 back to back that. I think guys like McLeod and Burton and Rashudo and all those sort of guys are pretty level-headed. So I don't think that's going to be an advantage against those two teams because they're both pretty experienced.
What about your performance of your forward line tonight?
Yeah, outstanding. Really, when you get, I think, 6 from your centre half forward and 4 from your full forward and 4 from your half forward flanker. And then, obviously, the roles that the other guys played up there were really significant also. So, it did function particularly well tonight.
No injuries, obviously?
No injuries, which is good, So, I think it was a solid game. It was very hot, so it was good to be able to get a couple of players off late as well, that were pretty sore and cramping, so probably took the risk of injury out of it too.
Is it as good a game as Hall's played for the Sydney Swans?
He's played some very good ones. Look, and considering the what was at stake, it's a terrific effort. I mean, 6 goals from your centre half forward is elite in a game like that. There's no question.
When did you pick Craig Bolton to manage your side?
We had our match committee early in the week this week because we didn't have to review our own game. We were pretty much straight into the Dockers on Monday. So we met from memory Monday afternoon and picked. I think, with Craig, he's got the size and the strength, the marking. Jeff Farmer's a very good mark, and he's also got the speed and agility to go with him. So for us, it was a pretty clear matchup. I guess the problem was we put Craig Bolton to Farmer, and he's done okay. I think they've had some good battles, Craig and Pavlich before, and that was the concern there. But I think he was the obvious one for us to go to Farmer.
You a bit worried about Pav there at stake tonight?
What do you think? Look, I think Leo's effort was terrific. Louis, we picked to play on him. And I think Leo going to him and really, making it a lot harder for Matthew after half-time was significant as well. So I think, I guess that's why they're, your 2 All-Australian defenders, Leo Barry and in hindsight, we probably should have started with Leo on Pavlich rather than Louis. Louis still making his way in the game, but Pavlich is a star player. So I think, Leo Barry and Craig Bolton together, was a terrific effort from both those guys.
Swans coach Paul Roos, fair to say, Duck, that he's pretty laid back, pretty unflappable, doesn't have too many worries at the moment. They're just cruising along, aren't they? Oh,
look, no doubt about that. They haven't got a worry in the world now, Jace. They can sit back, watch that game on the big screen as we will this afternoon.
Hope that the two belt the living, out of each other. Well, we're going to cross up to Sydney now and catch up with one of the stars of last night's victory. I'm talking about their, we call him a forward, but he's virtually an on-baller these days. Ryan O'Keefe, welcome to you, Ryan, and congratulations on last night.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Now, what do you classify yourself as? Are you a half-forward or are you a midfielder?
No, I'm a forward still, so yeah, just get back. The backmen are always asking to get a bit of help, so I go down there and help them sometimes. But yeah, no, I'm still a forward.
I was going to say, what are the instructions, Ryan? I've heard you be interviewed a couple of times and you say that no one really knows your role. Is it just a case of you assessing when the team's under a bit of pressure, floating back and then running forward? Because there was an occasion last night where I think you took the ball out of defensive 50, then ended up having a shot at goal.
Yep.
Yeah, it's basically just reading the game and just the flow of the game, and really it's sort of up to my prerogative to assess, what's going on. And I sort of, as you said, I float back and help out, and then I am a forward, so I do have to push forward and become an attacking option as well.
Ryan, I want to ask you. It was a fantastic effort last night. 24 possessions, 4 goals, 8 marks. Have you worn the GPS tracking system? Do you know how much ground you do cover, and how does it compare to the midfielders?
In a few of the pre-season games I did, but yeah, I don't like to wear them during the season, so yeah, during the pre-season, I cover the same as the midfielders. But yeah, during the regular season, I don't wear them.
Is that a tactic that Roosie uses, though, with guys like yourself and other on-ball players? Is it a tactic that he uses to lose the tag, for instance? Players can often think, OK, he's going down back, they lay off a little bit. It just gives you a little bit more room. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, pushing down and especially when you got key forwards like Barry and Mick up there playing well, you know, you tend to want to give them some space as well. So pushing up the ground sort of it helps the team, but you know you do have to, as I said before, you do push forward to become an attacking option as well.
The two things that impressed the hell out of me and probably everyone else watching last night, Ryan, A was the running of the Swans, but B the tackling and pressure. I thought was just absolutely fantastic. They have a running game themselves, the Doggers, but they never had a moment to compose themselves. The pressure was too intense.
Yeah, well, that's something we pride ourselves on, making it a one-on-one contest and really, you know, applying the pressure on teams and tackling. We take pride in our tackling, and it's, you know, one of our key indicators whether, you know, we're playing well. If our tackling is going well, then usually the rest follows.
Were you worried at any stage last night, Ryan? Did you think that in the third quarter, when the Dockers were controlling that quarter, did you think that they might have overrun you? Yeah,
well, look, Freo's credit, they gave it to us all night, you know, and they kept coming back, and, you know, they were always there. So, yeah, there was never a time to relax, and, you know, they got some really quality players, and, you know they got, you know, guns like Pavlich, who, you know, basically he kept them in their game, and he was a real danger. So there was a few worrying signs, but I think the boys held the nerve and became a little bit more composed in the fourth quarter and ended up running away with it.
One of the things that was really obvious last night, and it's been Sydney's play for a number of years now, is you're just so unselfish in the forward line. You centre the ball all the time. Whether a guy has a little bit of time to have a shot, even Nick Davis centred the ball.
Yeah, well, it's all about the team, not the individuals. So, you know, it's the team that kicks the goals and the teams that win the games. It's not the individuals. So if we were going to play individual games, we'd go play golf or something. So it's something we pride ourselves on, being, you know, a strong team.
And Big Barry led from the front. He was fantastic last night. 6 goals. He created. He worked upfield a lot. I think he had 9 inside 50s himself. So he's covering plenty of ground as well.
Yeah, Barry's he's hard-working forward as well. You know, for a bloke his size, he gets around the ground so well, and his second efforts and the stuff off the ball that you don't see. You know, he does that, you know, as good as anyone. So, you know, he's a key player, you know, and he's probably, you know, one of the most valuable players in our team, or probably even the league.
Is he a big talker on the ground, Ryan? Because I saw him before the game as you were running out the race. He made sure he got over to all the players, encouraged them. He's got that type of voice that you can't help but listen, very deep. Does he say a lot out on the park?
Yeah, he does. You know, he gives instruction. You know, he's very good. You know, he's one of our captains, and as a key forward, he's got to instruct the players around him, the smaller players, to sort of work off him. So yeah, and you can't miss his voice. He's got that you know, distinctive, you know, loud voice. So yeah, but he's a very good leader, and I think it's a credit to him, and, you know, credit to the way he plays.
Ryan, it's been well documented the troubles that Nick Davis has gone through, and he had a bit of a falling out with the leadership group. He's obviously worked hard to get back in, and you can see why he's so important, because he mightn't be the most consistent player, but there was a patch there last night in the third quarter, just as things tightened up a little bit, where he exploded in about 5 or 7 minutes. He kicked a goal, he had 4 or 5 inside 50s, set up a couple of goals. He really can have an impact in a short space of time, can't he?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can win a game off his own boot. We saw it last year, and he's got such deadly skills that, you know, he can kick goals from, you know, just about anywhere. So he's a player that he has worked hard and got back in the side, and he's got trust back from all the boys. And, you know, credit to himself, you know, he got himself right, and now you know, hopefully he can have another big one next week.
And what about one of your other captains, Kirky? He just continues to play great footy for the club. He'll be instrumental in next week's game because, as we know, the Eagles and the Crows both have some terrific on-ballers, but he just continues to get it.
He does. He's an absolute workhorse, and, you know, he's probably one of the toughest, you know, blokes I've played with. Just his mental strength and just the way he just crashes in and gets bashed from, you know, pillar to post each week, but he just keeps going, and and he's just one of the most mentally strong blokes I've ever met. So he's just a great player, and he's a terrific leader.
Interesting hearing or reading some of the comments of Barry Hall in the papers today, Ryan. He just said the feeling after the win last night was very different to last year. Last year there were much more flamboyant celebrations. It was more emotional. He said this year it's more business-like because, yeah, it was great, but there's still another game to go.
Yeah, it is. Like all last night gave us is an opportunity to, to win the premiership. So we've got one game to go. It's the most important game, and that's what your whole season's judged on. So I think, our season will be judged on whether we do well next week. And I think we knew what we're going into last night, and we knew what to expect, and we know what the prize is. So I think it was, probably a little bit more business-like than last year. I think last year was, the novelty of, playing in your first grand final.
Do you have a side that you'd prefer to play in the grand final? Because let's be honest, all your games recently against West Coast have been so close. I don't know whether you'd want to play in another one of those in a grand final. And also, your games against Adelaide, I mean, they've given you some tough times recently also.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter who we play. It's going to be a tough game. They're both top, quality sides, and they've got some, terrific players. And I don't think whether it's Adelaide or West Coast, it's going to be a tough game and be a close game. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think they're both going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to put your hand up and say we'd rather play one side either. But if you're a betting man, who would you back in this afternoon's game? Who do you fancy winning that one?
I'm not a betting man, so I wouldn't know.
You're playing a straight bat very, very well, Ryan. Mate, we appreciate the fact you've joined us this morning. It was a super effort last night. Congratulations, not just to yourself, but also to the team, and good luck going back-to-back next week.
Thanks very much.
You spend no time thinking about losing at all. So you end up gutted, really.
Do you think at any stage tonight you get control of the game to go on and win it?
When we got back within 6 or 7 points, I thought hadn't played our best football, and the one thing you can back in with the players, or they've shown over the 12-week campaign that we've had where we've really been playing for our lives, is the players haven't given in, and our work rate's always high. We're really fit and share the load in that area, and worked our way back into it, but really hadn't executed as well as we'd liked. And just in retrospect after the game, is probably similar to aspects of the Adelaide game where we just didn't execute and have mechanisms to get the ball inside forward 50 to give our forwards a chance.
You weren't able to get that next goal where you think you got that chance.
Yeah, look, Sydney, hard-nosed finals team, and there becomes pivotal points in the game, and for them, and that's when we're on the charge, and when we got close, they'd kick the next goal, and then it'd stretch out to 13 points, and then we'd have to work our way through it again, but they'd grab the initiative early.
The last minute of the third quarter, 2 goals in a minute, just takes the sting out of you a bit.
Yeah, look, when you get to this stage of the season, you're playing class teams, so there's going to be momentum swings both ways, and you need to make sure you execute well when you get your looks, and you've got to make sure that you restrict the scoring. I mean, that'd be one of the highest scored Sydney's kick for the year. So they're really sharp with their execution. They probably missed a few easier type shots too, but they're really sharp with their ball use. And I think if there's one pivotal area, it's probably that they just used the first option, executed.
Chris, what did you say to the players that the room just now?
Look, it's not acceptable in any way, shape or form. And there's got to be, a lot of honesty throughout the club on all fronts for us to get better. And that has to be done in an aggressive manner, so we can, put a plan in place to get better.
What do you mean by that, in an aggressive manner?
Well, that all the cards are put on the table. Individuals need to look at where they need to improve, groups of players, the team itself, everyone. We've got to get on the front foot straight away and not let 8 weeks slip by to get our planning right, and take care of some things straight away that need to be taken care of. And, for the players to be put under preliminary final pressure, that type of spotlight, I think, gives a pretty clear indication of areas you need to get better at.
Can you pinpoint one part of the ground?
I think execution, skill-wise, mechanisms from defensive 50. You know, we need to really work on that as a team in terms of our mechanism, but also, you know, the individual execution, because we've got to get the ball back inside 50. I mean, the inside 50s in the first quarter, you know, are just outrageous. And we're not going to arrest momentum unless we've got our hands on the ball.
Where's the improvement going to come from, do you think, going forward?
Well, if you look at the majority of our list, it's been set up for, I think the window's, you know, it opened, and it's, you know, the planning's set for it to open for quite a while. But, you know, there's 15 other professional teams out there, and as far as next year goes, it's just not going to happen. We've got to take our game to another level right from the outset.
You think you need more experience in there, or what's your favourite?
Well, that'll come. I mean, there's 3 finals games under a lot of the younger type players. But, you know, we need improvement across the board, and, you know, I know there's some bitterly disappointed players who we really rate that missed out on the opportunity. So, you know, I think they'll be, you know, leading the charge into next year, because opportunities can slip by pretty quickly.
Hi again from Sydney. Well, the Swans are a step closer to back-to-back flags after beating the Fremantle Dockers by 35 points at Telstra Stadium last night. Earlier today, I caught up with co-captain Leo Barry at the Swans recovery at Coogee Beach and asked him whether it's sunk in yet.
Yeah, it definitely has. It's a little bit different this year. I think, you know, we realise that there's still another game to go. The guys are pretty level-headed after the good win, you know, last night, so we understand it's a big week coming up. We did it last year, got the parade and obviously training, so we're looking forward to it. We didn't have any injuries out of the game. Having the week off last week definitely helped a few guys, and I think we'll probably have no changes again for the grand final. We've got a meeting back at the club at 1 o'clock today, so just more of a briefing on what the week we're expecting, and I think everyone will just sort of sit at home and watch the game, and hopefully they